I'm Nikita Shamgunov. I had a bronze medal in ICPC back in 2001, which was 14th place. It was a lot of fun. Right now, I run a company that's called MemSQL and having a lot of fun. What attracted me into the space in general, and I started my career at SQL Server, is that's actually, ICPC in a box, or computer science in a box. Mm-hmm. So building databases, once you go underneath and see what's under the hood, has algorithms, has data structures, has system engineering, has networking, has consistency problems, has distributed systems, has AI, has NP-hard problems. And so that all packed very nicely. So it speaks to somebody who likes ICPC, and especially as they go and discover what's actually going on under the hood.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deon Nicholas, CEO and co-founder of Forethought. Our mission is to make everyone a genius at their job using AI. And we're starting by building AI-powered tools to help customer support agents and other knowledge workers. And so our product is an AI that integrates into help desk softwares like Zendesk and Salesforce. And our AI will help automatically respond to questions, route and triage tickets, as well as suggest answers for the agents to help them solve more complex problems. So that's kind of the overview of Forethought. And in terms of kind of where it came from, I guess a long time ago, I've always been, like an ICPC person, a math and computers person. In high school, I was very bad at subjects like history. And so at the time, I built a software, an AI that would read my notes and quiz me on the material. And that was how I got through history class. And that was my first foray into natural language understanding. And so since then, I've been obsessed with this idea of how you can use AI tools to help people get smarter, help people at school or help people at work. And so I've always been thinking about problems in the space of using AI, natural language understanding, and then helping people kind of do tasks with that. And that eventually evolved into what is now Forethought.
To give you a quick introduction, my name is Victor Shabourov, and I co-founded actually 4 startups with ICM, ICPC guys, co-founders. The most famous one was Luxury, which was a face filters and was acquired by Snapchat for 150 million. And the guy who did it all, that was not me, of course, right? It was Yuri Monastyrsyn. And he was finalist in 2013, and he took 38th ranking in the world. And after the deal, what happens after the deal? After the deal, he became Snapchat director of engineering at the age of 24. So it's probably one of the youngest directors of engineering in public companies on such scale. Another guy, his name is Vasily Filipov. We co-founded a company called SPB Software, and he was ICPC finalist in 1999, and he was 8th in the worldwide ranking. Right now, he runs very successful startup called Mail Science. It's an educational and VR startup. So another guy with whom we co-founded company, he was not ICPC finalist, but he was a IMO medal winner, and it was the company called Hamster. It was one of the biggest marketplaces for applications. It was acquired by Opera Software. The most recent one was called AI Factory, and the co-founder was Alexander Mashrabov. He was at that time 35th in the world ranking in 2016, basically. And he joined Snap now as a top manager, and he also got into Forbes 30 under 30. So also at the age of like 24, probably 25.
What I think would be interesting is to showcase and tell people that there is that other path that they can take, and that path is entrepreneurship. It's much broader than winning a programming competition where the rules are very much set. But the winning piece of it is fantastic. And if you win in this gamble of building a company, you just need to win once, right? And it changes your life. And the journey you put yourself on also changes your life. And I can attest to that. Victor can attest to that. Deon can attest to this. A couple benefits for us as entrepreneurs, right? We are interested in small check investments, and maybe Victor in larger check investments. We're interested in bringing people to our startups, and that's where they can put themselves on a learning curve that is much steeper than the ones at large companies, the Googles, the Microsofts, the Facebooks, and they will get a bit more exposure to what that might look like. Again, back remembering myself through those years, I just had no idea.
I wouldn't recommend starting a company alone. Like, I do recommend, as much as possible, having at least one other co-founder, whether that's your former ICPC teammate or other friends and kind of colleagues. And that's more just because just by being able to split up workload and have someone you trust to kind of talk to, that just helps with like the psychology of building a hard thing. Like, it's, ICPC is a team sport, entrepreneurship at scale is a team sport. And so that's the one thing. But in terms of skill set, I think it's a myth, and probably it would be bad advice to just go out and try and find someone who can do the business side. So at Forethought, I co-founded Forethought. I'm actually the CEO. And so nowadays I'm actually focused more on the business side and product and things like that rather than coding. And I think it boiled down for me to problem solving. Everything in a startup is kind of its own sub problem. And if you kind of approach it with the ICPC mindset of, breaking it down, figuring out how you're going to solve these problems, working with your team, it ends up being very much like competitive programming, just without the code. So how do you hire your first team? How do you put together compensation? How do you do sales? And so a lot of that has been done before. And, the same way you read CLRS textbook to figure out how to do max flow, you're going to read textbooks to figure out how to put together a sales team. You're going to figure out how to do, lean startup and build your first MVP and a lot of that. So I think there's a lot of that. But that being said, it is a leap, right? Because some people enjoy talking to other people. Some people don't enjoy kind of the talking to folks. And so you should have a balance in kind of the mindsets and skill sets. But I wouldn't be afraid to tackle a new problem just because it's outside of your domain.
The first handful of people were ICPC participants in our team. And I think we had them because we could reach them, right? And we looked like them, and they were like a natural place for them to go to. The fact that people are skillful in this thing doesn't mean that they're unskillful in the other. They figured out how to become skillful there, and startups are all about learning. So that gives a good amount of faith that they're going to be successful coming and joining your company.
Why do we like ICPC guys? Because the guys who are in the top, you can give them unsolvable technical task and they will try to solve it. That's the main reason, right? And it's like people who work in the industry, they usually believe that something is impossible. These guys don't believe that something is impossible. They will try to solve anything. That's why we like to work with ICPC finalists.
The talent pool is obviously bigger than ICPC participants, right? It's and dramatically bigger. And then we see capable people coming from the ICPC, place, and then we see talented people coming from other places, from other schools, from the industry, from all walks of life. Yes, business has ups and downs, but what makes it different is people, right? So you work with people and you parse through the problems and have that curiosity, and you build. Like the mantra at MemSQL is you're here to build. So that is that just speaks to me very well, and that attracts a certain type of people who want to come and build alongside you, with you, and with other teammates.
So I started my company about 2.5 years ago. And that was a couple of years after my ICPC run. I think it starts with people is how I would do it. So like for me, I had one friend who was a former ICPC finalist. Actually, it was Vlad Novakovsky, who was one of the first people I knew in the entrepreneurship world. And then you get advice from other founders, folks like us now. And then because it's a small world, they'll introduce you if they, they'll either give you advice on your startup or introduce you to other founders, other investors, and that sort of thing. And so I actually think that like the first step is just finding people who've done it before. And that usually gets you a long way, because there's going to be a lot of like blind spots that you won't know you had, like how to pitch, how to fundraise, things like that, what to start thinking about in your first few days when you're hiring your co-founder or hiring your first few engineers. And then as your network kind of builds from just, first you talk to one person who introduces you to two other people who introduce you to a couple other people, you'll eventually be in the spot where you have your idea vetted out, and you have enough access to people like investors or potential other employees that you can start to hit the ground running.